What a weekend we are in store for. I'm Medic, this is Vedius. At the end is Caedrel. You all know who we are by now. But what a day of League of Legends we're here for tomorrow. Obviously, the winner of this plays up against G2, and I am so pumped to be back in an arena.
It's incredible, really, isn't it? A lot of people are favoring Fnatic coming into this series, but Rogue might bring out a little bit of magic that we saw against the Mad Lions.
I'm just so excited to get into game. We've been speculating what the draft is going to bring. Will we see a different shade of Rogue compared to what we saw them last time? Will Fnatic make the same run that they made last year, all the way through the lower bracket into the finals? So many things on the line, so much at stake. Both these teams fighting for a spot in the final tomorrow against G2. And what a fantastic crowd we have here to enjoy the games with us, eh?
Honestly, just incredible. I love casting in arenas, feeding off the crowd's energies. The players love it too. We heard them talk about it in the build-up, and now we are getting ready to get into draft for game one. And guys, there's been a lot of speculation on the desk talking about whether it's Fnatic favored, whether Fnatic have the momentum. I want your insight on how you feel this series is going to play out.
I really think that Rogue need to target jungle and bot lane. I think it's very clear the way Fnatic plays the game. They like early game junglers, and they like playing mostly through bot, depending on what they get through top lane. Wunder's not shying away from things like the Renekton or the Gwen, so we'll have to see how the draft plays out. But Rogue have a few options they've played in the regular season that maybe they could play out in the playoffs.
Yeah, the big question that Caedrel and I have coming into this draft is, what happens with the jungle matchup? Is it Poppy Trundle, or are they removed? What about the bot lane? Will we see the priority on Draven and Kalista? Will they be prioritized, or will they simply be banned away? Will we move back to a more conventional AD carry role of Sivir versus Zeri? What's going to happen with the Yuumi? Do these teams even care about it, or are they going to completely move away from it?
And all of that is even without touching on the mid lane, right? Azir, Sylas, Ahri, LeBlanc, how crazy these mids want to get when it comes to these champions. I think Lissandra Talia could be really big for Rogue.
That's the noise I like to hear. Let's get ourselves into the draft. Game one between Fnatic and Rogue. Jump into the draft. Rogue on the blue side, they came from the upper bracket, so they had side selection. Blue is their choice, and what we have seen, Draven, Kalista bans a lot from Fnatic. Immediately the Rogue are going to take away the Trundle.
Now the biggest question we have is, does Rogue want to force a first pick Poppy here, and does Fnatic want to ban it away? We'll see that in the second ban here, because Kalista's down, Draven's still up. We've still got a lot of power picks left available.
Things kind of going as we expected so far. Fnatic choosing to remove some of those big power picks in the form of Kalista. So there it is, the Trundle Poppy. The big debate that you and I had around what then becomes the priority, because things like Sejuani suddenly rise to the top of that priority list. Fnatic, though, going to choose to remove the Azir away from Larssen. The question is now, do they remove Lulu? Do they remove Lucian? What's the next big ban?
Yeah, I think Lucian's a good target. You just hit the nail on the head there. Lulu ban for a Yuumi first pick. Yuumi ban maybe to secure something like the Lulu Sejuani you just talked about. But I think the wild card pick here is Jarvan. I'm not sure if Fnatic play it. Does Razork want to pick the Jarvan? That's the question I have. Or is Rogue forcing a first pick Lucian here by taking away that Draven?
The Draven respect over towards upset. Rogue are concerned about it, and they were worried about whether or not Fnatic would actually choose to take it off the board. Expectations are, especially when you look at the playoffs, Fnatic typically Draven Kalista, Draven Kalista, Draven Kalista. That has been their prio bans, but they know that Larssen is a big Azir player. How are Fnatic going to round this one out? They're taking their time. I think the Draven ban threw them off a little bit. But it will be the Jarvan. You talked about it. We speculated this is something that Malrang could have gone towards. But now that Sejuani has to rise in the priority list.
You have to take away Sejuani from Razork, right? No, they're going to go for the Lucian. They want to deny upset Hilly having that Lucian bot lane. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go for something like Sivir or a Zeri lane with an Enchanter on 3 here.
Yuumi's still a bit. Yeah, Sivir, Yuumi seems pretty strong. Obviously, loses the lane into the Lucian Nami, but very good if you look for later game scaling.
And we've seen what upset can do on Zeri, right? That's going to be the Yuumi picked up. Only a few AD carries can work with the Yuumi.
I'm not quite sure. Do you think the crowd likes the Yuumi pick?
I think they love it.
Yeah, it sounds like woo!
There's the Yuumi locked in. Now, the question you just had as well is Sejuani. Do you pick Sejuani here? Pick AD carry on 3. Is that even high prio in both these teams' minds? Of course, if you lock in Sejuani Yuumi, you really need melee champs in mid or top. Is Fnatic wanting to go for something like the Renekton on 4-5? Will Rogue let them have it? We will see on the second pick.
So much discussion, so much... Oh my word, they're just going to lock in the Sylas for Humanoid. We talked about how, as a champion, it feels very strong in the current meta, but in Humanoid's hands, we saw what he was able to do it in his last best of 5.
And this is a really smart blind pick, because what it's saying is, Rogue, if you want to take away Sejuani here, we're going to play Sylas into Sedge, take Sejuani ult, and he can do a massive burst of damage onto the Lucian when it comes to finding those flanks.
And now, if Rogues choose not to take the Sejuani, because the expectation is they want to lock in that Nami, now it's an easy pickup for Fnatic as well. They could choose to go for the Sylas Sejuani. They have a comfortable jungler for Razork. They have that engage tool, and they have the follow-up with the Yuumi. Fnatic looking at a pretty comfortable spot already.
Yeah, and even if they don't, there's things like Wukong, Zhao still available. There's the Vi from Malrang. It's just going to pick that up himself. Now, Fnatic, the question is, Zeri, Sivir, or jungle? What do they prioritize here? Because one of them will get pinched, one of them will get banned out. We've seen Upset play things like the Ezreal in the regular season, but the Zeri has been causing a storm in the regular season.
I mean, Zeri Yuumi is just a tale as old as time, it seems, and it's only been around for about 3 months. So incredibly strong there for Fnatic. The bot side of the map, their focus, same from Rogue with the Lucian Nami locked in the early rotations. Now we move into the second phase. Expect to see mid laners banned by Fnatic because they've already got that Sylas, and Rogue don't have a mid lane of their own.
The Sejuani now being removed from Rogue, with the Talia now taken off the board from Fnatic. But before we move on, that Zeri pick for Upset, let's not forget that this was the champion that he set the all-time LEC damage record with.
Yep.
This was a champion that helped Fnatic lock in those last 2 games and even qualified them for playoffs. That alone, getting them through the lower bracket run. This is a champion that many teams have shown respect towards because of how comfortable Upset is on it. And with Hylissang on this Yuumi on his back, you have to fear that in the late game, Upset will be the man you have to watch.
Yeah, just going back to these 4 or 5 bans, Akali taken away from Larssen. When I think of Vi, I think of Ahri, but the problem is, do you want to pick Ahri into Sylas? Does he want to pick something like LeBlanc maybe? I think Larssen needs to go out of his comfort zone here and maybe not lean towards a control mage when he's playing things like the Vi, Lucian, Nami. He needs to play something that can play a little bit more forwards with Malrang to find these 2v2 kills. Zhao would be a good pickup here, works really well with the Yuumi. With all of these jungle bans, I think it's your best bet.
Very much agreed. The question is, there it is, the lock-in. Fnatic taking their time there. How will Rogue now look to round out their draft? We're looking for a top laner, and we're looking for a mid. A little bit more engaged could be an option, but you want to be careful about locking something like an Ornn into the Sylas. They will choose to go for the Ahri for Larssen rather. The question is, what engage can they get now?
I would be very scared of blinding Sion here because of Aatrox, exactly. That's it. Aatrox Yuumi would be so powerful now. That opens up Wunder to go for things like Gwen or Renekton if he wants to on 5 here. So Rogue smartly saying, if we blind tank engage here, they will get Aatrox Yuumi, and it's not going to be a good time for us. But there are other things like Camille that could work into Aatrox, Fiora, Jax, these kind of split pushers. The question is, what does Wunder want to go into? Does he want to take that side?
Well, I think the thing is, you also don't have a huge amount of engage on the side of Fnatic. I was wondering something like a Gragas for the disengage and then let the Zeri really open up. Ornn gives you a bit more engage, gives you follow-up as well with the Zeri and the Yuumi chasing in. So I like it in the composition, although into the Aatrox is going to be a difficult matchup.
Yeah, the matchup itself will be hard, but Fnatic are the ones saying we need engage. And I think that Rogue's comp is quite mobile. You know, Vi, Ahri, Lucian, it's going to be quite hard to lock them down, but Fnatic have a very clear front to back. The biggest question we had for Rogue when it came to their team fights against G2 is, why aren't they flanking more? Why are they just going head on? With Ahri and Vi, I think they need to find those angles, because in a front to back, Zhao Ornn is just a stronger front line.
So far in our playoffs, Razork has really been the MVP for Fnatic. Many have even argued that he's the MVP of playoffs in terms of his early game impact and what he can do. He's going to be playing to 3 pushing lanes from Rogue. They're going to have so much agency in the early game. Eyes will be on what he is able to do to find these early game advantages for Fnatic. Because if they can get to the late game, we know they have the power to win out on the 5v5. It's going to be a bloodbath on the Rift for game 1. Both teams are likely comfortable with their compositions, and we're only getting closer to seeing who gets one step closer to the finals tomorrow.
And this is the game where the jitters kick in. You know, first time on stage for a lot of these players. First game, comfort is key. Playmaking needs to happen. They have to be decisive in these fights, especially with Rogue's composition.
And as much as the position in the finals of the LEC is on the line, also group stage at Worlds, if you win this series, makes it a lot easier for you to traverse that very difficult tournament. Fnatic looking for their 13th title. They have made every playoff they've been in. Rogue have yet to win a final. Let's see who takes this right now.
On to Summoner's Rift we go. Rogue with their triple threat comp. Fnatic opting to a safe side, top side, as we expected. Not many lanes for Fnatic to play through in the early stages. I think Razork mostly looking through mid, unless he looks for any kind of cheesy level 1 gank bot. We think of Fnatic, we think of late invades, but this comp doesn't really have that level 1 strength.
Well, when he has a champion like Zhao, he may very well be able to find something cheeky. Let's keep our eyes on Razork and see what he is up to in this early game.
Okay, lads, you've been serious enough. Here we go. Everyone, Comp has played his 100th LEC game in this game. I can't get the graphic to come up, but I want you to cheer for Comp. 100 LEC games, second ever playoffs, fighting for another finals. Congratulations, Comp.
Congratulations indeed.
You can now go back to the seriousness.
It's crazy. Well, I mean, it's crazy to think how far Comp has come. Let's not forget that he was benched on that Vitality roster. There were questions around how good he was and how competitive he could be here in the LEC. But now, back-to-back, he's fighting for top 3 here in the LEC. He is one of the best AD carries in our league right now. And a lot of pressure is going to be on his shoulders. When you run the Lucian Nami, lane dominance is the expectation. You need to be winning out on those 2v2s, and this is a lane that we can expect Rogue to look to play around in the early game.
And that's interesting because if you think back to AD carries in Europe, Perks, Rekkles, Hansama, very reliable, experienced AD carries. This time around, we've got players like Unforgiven, players like Comp, who are very new to the league, and now actually accruing up to 100 games is a bit of a surprise, a bit of a change of the guard. So we'll see how they perform in this Lucian-Nami matchup. Of course, taking it away from Upset and Hilly. This matchup doesn't really have the strength level 1. It needs level 3, of course. So they will get pushed in a little bit earlier, it looks like. But when it comes to the mid-game and they're contesting mid-waves, they'll have a lot of kill pressure when the Lucian has Gale Force. So I think both bot lanes are pretty happy farming up as both junglers path down.
You can see as well Odoamne conceding the push for the time being. Early levels, Aatrox, the strongest wave clear. Just going to let Wunder pushing, and especially with Malrang pathing away from him. We can also see Razork doing Rafters into red, in towards his Gromp. Will now have that level 3. The question is he going to look to try and do anything on this stacked wave from Upset and Hylissang? We've seen him do it multiple times. But level 1 dives, level 2 dives. Of course, it is the Zeri Yuumi, so it may be much harder to pull off. But for the time being, it looks like nothing too crazy coming out from Razork.
Yeah, I think Rogue are the ones who need to play through mid, and Fnatic are the ones that need to match and shut it down. Razork just flashed into the bush. Larssen doesn't know he's there. Humanoid needs his E if they want to make this happen.
Razork looks for the gank. Humanoid looks for the chains. Larssen flashes away, but the chase is in, and the flash is all that Fnatic wanted.
So I think that they knew the river was warded, but the bush wasn't. So he decided to flash over the wall to avoid the vision to go onto Larssen, expecting a kill. It's a flash-for-flash trade, but now Razork doesn't have flash. We'll see if Malrang finds him. He has that ping port down, and Malrang's the one who thinks he's being sneaky now, but Razork smartly warded that entrance.
They have information on Malrang. He's just going to cover Larssen, though, as that wave gets pushed underneath the tower. Larssen now going to look to go back to base as Malrang makes his way up towards the top side. This is where Wunder now needs to be a little bit careful. They should have information of where Malrang is going.
But that jungle matchup is one we've expected to be quite explosive over the course of this series. Razork, of course, since week 8 has really evolved as a jungler, has leveled up to a different echelon to how he has been playing during the regular season. Malrang has struggled a little bit to have the impact that he would usually like, but maybe he's able to have it here up towards the top side. Inferno Chain's going to land, Wunder has to flash away, otherwise he'd be dragged back and the chase is on. Malrang and Odo play first blood in Malmö.
Malrang is here to play. He was spotted on vision around mid, went towards the top side. I think Fnatic should have had information that he was around there. He even had a ward in river, but they still pulled the play off. Maybe Wunder just overstepping his lane a bit too much.
We talked about how Wunder needed to be cautious about this window because it was he who got that early level push. The wave was slowly pushing back in Odoamne's favor, and as Malrang secured that top grab, he saw an opportunity to get the gank in top lane. Now Comp and Trymbi looking for a bit of a skirmish. Upset will lose a bit of his HP, but still a fairly favorable trade back in his favor as well. We can now see Malrang pathing towards the bot side of the map looking to cover.
And indeed, has got his base off. Base off, of course, going towards that Kempung chain sword. Razork doing a similar kind of thing now. Malrang looking for a gank towards bot side. Still has the flash, just covering his bot lane here to make sure that they can crash the wave so they're not vulnerable. But Razork is top side. Odo, no flash, will spot him now.
Odo should just be able to upward dash away from this one if Razork did look for the gank. Still only level 3 as well on the Zhao there. He's left his Krugs and his Razorbeaks, and now he's going to try and invade and get that Gromp.
I will say credit to Wunder though, because he's got a pretty decent CS lead right now. Considering that wave will be frozen and Odoamne has to TP back, he was keeping the push in this matchup in the first 4 or 5 levels, so that kill won't hurt too much when he keeps this freeze going to get the gold back.
Drops the Humanoid there as well. Great awareness of where his jungler is and the assistance that he does not have. No information on where Malrang was. We saw Malrang looking for something in mid, but Humanoid was hovering towards the top side of the lane, avoiding any big fight. Upset now, full HP, looking for a
Comp
fight.
has no mana. He's going to cleanse the Ignite, cleanse away, flash away by Comp as well. Should be able to walk back to the tower, but that's both summoners burnt for the Rogue bot lane.
Nice try on the punish there from Fnatic. They thought Comp was overstaying, trying to crash this wave. They thought they could punish it, end up losing 3 sums for 2, and now Razork's back towards the top side. Odoamne went for the serrated Dirk first, going for Eclipse, I believe. so no Ninja Tabi or any kind of movement speed to escape those ganks, but the ward will keep him safe for now.
You can see Razork trying to do what he can with the wave state in top lane. Odoamne once again showing a lot of respect. And it's one of those things where in an environment like this, where the pressure is at its highest, with the crowd behind you, or sometimes even against you, sometimes this is where the jitters can get to you. But when you have two veterans in the top lane like Wunder and Odo, you can see how focused they are. As Humanoid now looks to go all in.
Larssen low on mana, don't know if he has Spirit
Oh
Rush
my
here.
God.
Humanoid with the chase. Oh, Spirit Rush flash! Humanoid claims the kill in the mid lane.
That was incredible. Larssen was just trying to push in the wave. He had 90 mana. It's 100 mana for Ahri Spirit Rush, I believe. So he knew he had no flash, got the all-in, got a kill. Now Malrang is back towards the top side to cover Odoamne on this wave. But that's what you want from your mid laner in a series like this.
And we talked about being locked in. A Humanoid definitely is. He didn't expend his flash in that early gank. It was Razork that made the play. They got the flash out from Larssen. Humanoid sees this window, sees the ultimate, goes to the all-in.
Yeah, no mana on Larssen. He has 90, so he has enough for a charm if he wants to use it, but he's trying to get his mana up, and by the time it reaches 100, Humanoid already has the flash to gap close, drops the emote as well, so mid already going in their favor in a matchup where Rogue should just constantly have the push.
But especially when this Sylas was drafted so early by Fnatic, for Humanoid to have a really good play at the start of the series sets himself up so well for the rest of this best of 5.
Let's not forget as well, there's a lot of history now between these two mid laners. It is one of the biggest and most played mid lane matchups that we have here in Europe. Right now, it is Larssen that wins out ever so slightly with a 19 wins to 18 scoreline, but these two mid laners, ever since they've come in, have been hyper competitive and have fought many times before.
Yeah, when Humanoid is on Mad Lions, of course, Larssen's still on Rogue, now Humanoid's moved over to Fnatic, and let's not forget, there's only 3 mid laners that have won titles in Europe in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
Caps, Perks, and Humanoid.
Humanoid now looking to win another. Fnatic need to win this best of 5 to make it to the finals tomorrow, so that we can have a Caps versus Humanoid, which would be the next most played matchup. Humanoid gaining a lot of experience and recognition, but a massive solo kill here in Malma. And a really good start, of course. Rogue still holding on to an ever so slight gold lead for now. The advantage they've accrued in top. Kind of holding them even, but pretty much the goal dead even for the most part.
And let's take stock of the game, because it's 8 minutes, perfect time. The Herald just won. Razork's just going to start that one up. This is, of course, a really powerful early game objective that both teams want to fight over, ideally, but it's Malrang who's actually just clearing out his bot camps. Razork first to 6. Malrang doesn't want to contest. Larssen will spot this out in a second. Please be careful, he doesn't have to burn his ult in doing so. But Rogue just dropping an early game objective when they have mid and bot push in a top matchup where they got an early first blood.
Well, neither teams are really Herald focused throughout the playoffs. 25% Herald percentage. They do both manage to gain a slight gold lead, or a relatively good gold lead for Fnatic, about 1,000 gold ahead. But overall, neither of these teams really like to focus that Herald as their first objective. Usually more Dragon on their minds.
You can see that. I mean, I think it was one of the struggles for Rogue as well. Often when they were playing HG2, even if they found early kills, early advantages, they actually really struggled to convert it into further objectives. And Fnatic using these small windows to already get that early Herald. Rogue potentially looking for a cross map here with the Dragon, but don't feel confident right now.
Yeah, we just saw Larsen's ult in mid to try and get a pick onto Humanoid. Looks like Razork's going to face check here. Needs to be careful.
Doesn't have the pressing guard, can use it. Knocked up with the season assist. Malrang getting chased down as well. Stolen away, all by Humanoid. And for the second time, Humanoid finds the kill in the mid lane. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, the Connor coming out as Upset tries to dash and dodge away. Trymbi healing himself up, but Upset still very healthy in this trade.
Chain CC wasn't good enough there by Rogue. They got the Q, they got the ult, but the ult came out from Razork just in time to stop Larsen's damage. That's why Malrang had to flash away so quickly, but now it's Rogue's bot lane who might be in trouble. They might drop the Herald here to get Upset a couple of plates. Mid lane's already ahead, 2 kills, get you out to carry some gold.
Humanoid is just on form right now. He's looking for an engage. Decides not to overcommit. He knows the tower is close. Oh, but the damage is good. Humanoid doesn't have flash. Larssen does.
Kill him here.
But he's going to force him away from the tower at the very least. He's going to look to get himself a play. Hits him with the emote once again. Humanoid is in form today.
He is feeling it today. A man on fire. Solo kill into another kill from the 2v2, keeping the mid push. 700 gold lead for him now. And Upset looks like he wants to cancel the base of Comp. Will succeed in doing so, and Trymbi will stay around as well.
You see Humanoid and Upset already up near the top of that gold. Odoamne with that first kill, first blood up towards the top side, has a bit of gold for himself as well, but the mid and bot side of the map for Rogue is struggling. We'll have another look at this mid lane play.
So the chain CC, the airborne comes through, but there's a frame there where you can use the Sin's ult, so all of Larsen's damage just gets completely negated, so Malrang has to flash away because he can't finish off the kill. He's just used his full combo, and Humanoid just smartly taking the ult to follow up.
I mean, in these skirmishes, Sylas just has so much more power. The Ahri cooldowns, the second that they were gone, there wasn't another rotation that Larssen could throw out, so Malrang and Larssen falling short. Fnatic now find themselves with 1k gold lead, and we kind of take stock once again in the situation. Mid now has a pretty sizable gold advantage. The bot lane has been winning out on the 2v2. We haven't really seen any dive attempts from the side of Rogue, and Fnatic is only going to continue to scale up as the game progresses.
And they still have that Herald in their back pocket. Rogue didn't even cross-map a Dragon. Their answer to this Herald was a gank mid, in which Humanoid didn't even have to flash because it was down in the first place. So now they have this mid to bot. This is the Fnatic bread and butter. You know, they didn't really have a bot lane to play through in the early stages, so Razork plays through mid. We think of Fnatic as a bot-centric team, but he seems really happy helping out his mid laner. Humanoid initially getting them ahead, Razork following up, and now they can secure this mid to bot. They'll have both neutral objectives in the first 11 minutes of the game.
And if you're Rogue, you're looking at a 1,000 gold deficit right now. Humanoid very much on form with 2 kills to the good, almost got their Everfrost complete. Where are your next steps? Like, how do you start fighting back against Fnatic? Because all three, well, only top lane really won, but even there's a CS lead for Wunder. Your jungler is behind, your mid lane is behind, your bot lane is behind. It feels like grasping at straws for Rogue.
It's a very snowball-heavy early game comp, isn't it, playing Ahri Vi? The ideal situation is having mid pushing to top, where Odoamne can stack waves and they can shut down the Ornn, but that's fallen apart to a point where Larssen and Malrang need to cover bot. Not ideal. I think they're going to have to wait for the next neutral or a pick. Full flash is coming up for Fnatic, though. Herald crashing. Oh, fight kicks off.
Fight's going to happen, the final chapter coming out as well, and there is the killing spree for Humanoid. 3 kills to the good now as Malrang falls. The stolen tide away from Humanoid will chase them away. The Rift Herald charged in. Thank you, crowd, for the cheers on that one as the tower falls as well. Fnatic are 3,000 gold ahead.
Yep, just like that, Fnatic have claimed so much control over the map. You summarized it perfectly, Caedrel, where a lot of this early game action needed to be happening through the mid lane. We need to see Malrang maybe working with Larssen to look for top lanes, maybe just try and shut down Humanoid, try and get advantages and unlock this Ahri on the map to then try and attack these sides. But ever since Humanoid found that solo kill, it's just been the Humanoid show.
And props to Razork, because he knew that the only way Rogue could play the game was through mid, so he just uses his flash almost psychotically to get Larssen's flash to make so the mid pressure wasn't too heavy, allowing Humanoid to get that solo kill. There's another pick onto Malrang that we saw them do with their mid to bot, and now it's the Fnatic classic 1-3-1, have their bot lane towards mid. Upset needs to be very careful though, because they do have a lot of lockdown and a lot of gap close. If he steps up on this mid wave, he's going to die.
Malrang there with the cease and desist, looking forward, warlocking up, but he's going to go the long way! He takes the highway to pain, does Malrang, as Upset can try and turn this one around. Hylissang trading as well, and Malrang so separated from his team that no one could follow up.
I take it back, he has way too much mobility to get caught there. Just pulls Malrang all the way across, and yeah, Larssen can't gap close that far, can he?
Very smooth play there from Upset. We'll just disengage from that, and Upset, along with Fnatic, are now in a very comfortable position. They know that they have the scaling advantage. They can take their time, and now we kind of look at Rogue and we say, what picks can you find on the map? We can see that Humanoid is a little overextended in the bot lane, but then you question, can you actually win in a 2 versus 1 against Humanoid right now? Level 11, Everfrost completed. Meanwhile, Razork hovering the top side of the map. Rogue is just looking for something, a small window where they can punish a mistake from Fnatic. The question is, will that mistake actually open up?
Their best bet now is Humanoid's TP's on cooldown. They should have a timer, 30 seconds on the Herald. Rogue could set up topside before Humanoid arrives because he's just based. I think he's going to group up with his team here so they can force that neutral objective and get this mid-tier 1. Wunder, of course, not having TP either. They want to make sure they avoid any kind of numbers disadvantage fight, which Rogue could look for. And I think it's going to be on the top side of the map. You can see Larssen moving up to make sure he's there to match. Wunder coming towards mid. We might have a 5v5 for this Herald.
Upset going back to try and get his mythic before the fight starts. There's the Immortal Shieldbow complete. Larssen, the only one of the 4 main players on either side that doesn't have a mythic as of yet. Let's see where he's sitting in terms of total gold. On about 1,200, so he should be pretty close getting a mythic of his own on this Ahri.
Problem is the timing is not good for him. Wunder just turning over to level 11 now as well. We'll have that upgraded ultimate. They're looking to get the push in mid, rotate into the top river, secure that early Herald, the second Herald rather, and then as Caedrel said, look, use it to try and break down that mid-tier 1.
I mean, it's just playing by the book really, isn't it, by Fnatic? Very simple, easy to execute. There's really not much Rogue can do to respond. You can see Larssen just based to pick up that mythic, the Leanderies, but he doesn't have TP in time to contest this. Maybe they have to make another stand on Dragon.
They're going to look to do something.
Well, Larsen's TP is coming up in around 10-15 seconds. Odoamne's around, Pomps on midway. This will be gone, but they could look for the fight if they can find someone split off.
Wunder's on his way across as well. We'll see as Malrang goes forward. Smite secured by Razork, but now the final chapter's going to turn it around. Malrang does still have the flash to try and get away. The stopwatch used. Call of the Portal coming out as well by Wunder. Cease and desist on towards Wunder as well, but on the back line, it's Humanoid separated from the rest of the team. Hylissang's going to try and heal him up with the Yuumi on top of his shoulders. Odo trading in, but Humanoid's just too damn tanky. You just can't take him down in the end. The orb of deception from the Swede himself, Larssen, will get Rogue on the board.
Well, it was a bit of a sloppy fight there by Fnatic. It looked good initially, but I think Malrang, he had a stopwatch, so he bought so much time that he kited back to his bot lane, Comp and Trymbi on the side, and Humanoid and Hilly thought they would win the 2v2 all around the blue buff, and yes, they were winning, but Rogue were first to collapse.
Humanoid getting a little bit overconfident there. Obviously very strong on the Sylas, but Larssen leveraging his mobility. This time he was able to use the Spirit Rush, and when paired up with Odoamne, they were able to come out ahead. Of course, they still needed 2 people to shut down Humanoid, but the shutdown did come through nonetheless.
Yeah, this stopwatch was really a game changer right here from Malrang, because what would happen here is he would get rooted up and die. There's nowhere he can really flash, because the Ornn ult would follow it worst case anyway. He would be dead, the fight would be over, but because he can ult, stopwatch and then ult and flash to the side. Wunder was falling. Split fight towards the top side.
Yeah, exactly that. The fight ends up getting split. Humanoid gets separated, forced to flash out, and then a really good charm there from Larssen. Ends up getting a bit of revenge onto his mid lane matchup, and will secure a little gold into his back pocket as well. Fnatic now securing their second dragon of the game. Odo does come close to getting that kill onto Wunder. That's what is showing in the bottom left of your screen. As Rogue now look for a cross map to the top side.
That's what they need. They need gold right now. They don't really want to fight over neutrals. The Herald can inevitably give gold. They lost that. Fighting this dragon would be a waste of time. Get the top tier 1, try to defend the Herald play through mid. They need to look for fights. And getting to that dragon pit wouldn't work. They have bot push, they have mid push right now. Fnatic, Rogue just going to cross map this tower.
Yeah, still about 2,000 gold in the hole, but Rogue will be rejuvenated by that last fight. Of course, we'll see where Larssen can use the gold injection that he did acquire. Fnatic, though, controlling the bottom side of the map perfectly. Rift Held available to them as well. Razork can use this to break the tier 2. Of course, still, second tier towers give you more gold, so this is a large cash infusion for Humanoid.
Yeah, great play. It wasn't mid, it was bot.
You're going to stay around for the local gold here, Humanoid? Yeah, okay, yes. Good. If he walked away, that local gold would have gone into the ether, but Humanoid in range to pick it up.
Now it's Fnatic who have so much pressure, don't they? Humanoid just constantly having bot push. Now Odo has to go back and match top. Upset's just coming out of base, building towards that second item. But Fnatic, despite that shutdown, still in the driver's seat.
Yeah. And again, a lot of it comes down to how well Fnatic continue to play their early game. Not as dominant as what we've seen in the past from them, but it's good enough for the composition that they're playing. They know exactly what Rogue wanted to do. They've done a great job of being able to mitigate that. We can see the comp is further behind the Zeri. We can see the mid lane matchup, the jungle matchup. The only advantage the Rogue has is in that top side of the map. And I wonder how much pressure Odoamne can really throw down when you're playing into things like the Sylas and the Zeri with such a powerful front line with which Fnatic is running.
Rogue are running out of time, though. They're up against a comp of Fnatic with Ornn, Zeri, Yuumi.
Yeah.
So much scaling when it comes to these team fights. This next dragon has to be contested by Rogue, and they have to win it if they want to stay in this game.
Malrang looking for Humanoid. Final chapter coming out. There's a cease and desist. Stopwatch going to stop them for the moment. Zonya's coming out the charm as well. Cullen going in, but Fnatic now looking for the fight. Razork on the front line with Odoamne trying to trade blows. Call of the Forge going to hit onto Malrang. The knockup coming in as well. Wunder with a perfectly placed knockup there will get one, and that's the second for Fnatic. They find 2, and Rogue get nothing. Razork still looking for the chase, but can't find any more as Rogue are forced to walk away.
There's no big objective on the map, but Fnatic can look to secure this mid-tier 1. Another big fight from Fnatic, and a great stopwatch comes out from Humanoid to buy time for the rest of his team to turn the fight in their favor. Fnatic once again coming out on top.
And their reward will be this mid-tier 1. Malrang thought he could find that pick onto Humanoid, but it's a stopwatch that changes the entirety of the fight, and Wunder just really great follow-up and follow-through alongside Razork. There's really no damage for Rogue left when they're so split. Upset.
It's in with the ultra shot, flash forward, zap him to death. Upset looking for 2 under the tower, the double for him. And Fnatic are wiping Rogue off the rift.
Fnatic feel at home in this environment. The plays, the confidence, they are just dominating their opposition. 5Ks, the gold lead right now as Upset picks up a double.
He does indeed, and we're going to look back at the fight just prior to that as Malrang thought he had a pick. The stopwatch was great. The idea there is knock up into charm, get the pick, and then Rogue split up and Fnatic stay together as a ball. Wunder calls Razork to his side as Odo tries his best to fight against Fnatic. Humanoid jumping on top of him, Razork, but it's Wunder on the backline alongside Razork that just splits up Rogue to the point where they can't contest.
And you can just see, this is a perfect example of the front to back that Fnatic want to leverage. Wunder and Razork on the front line with their damage dealers, picking their moments to come in and actually choose to fight. Fnatic feel very comfortable, their composition is fully online, and they're looking to dominate game 1 here.
And you have to remember the difference in terms of competitive stage games in an arena between these two teams. Larssen, this is the first time he's been in an arena this big. Malrang, the same. Comp, similar. Trymbi, the same. On the other side, Humanoid's been at Worlds in 2019. Upset's been in arenas this big in the past. Wunder's been at MSI Finals and won the damn thing. Hylissang too. And now Fnatic are looking for a little bit more up towards this top side. Razork Thought he was caught, but he's just not. They can't take anyone down. Charm coming out, though. Beautiful to play it here. Onto Upset, he'll be shut down. Hylissang able to dash away to Humanoid, but importantly, the shutdown goes to Trymbi.
Small blunder there by Upset. Didn't have Cleanse, doesn't have Mikhail's either. As he dashes over the wall, the Charm connects, chain CC, and he's dead. Needs to be very careful on his positioning. Fantastic double kill in mid earlier, but not having that flash means they're quite vulnerable. Can't afford to play so far up there. I think with Malrang dying, Fnatic had an angle towards the Baron, but Upset falls, and the map goes back into a calm state.
We have seen this from Upset. He has felt very confident throughout playoffs, but sometimes he does make that small overstep with which teams are very quick to punish. And I think that Rogue saw a window where they could turn around here. That's why Malrang chooses to commit the ultimate. Either he's buying time for his team, or he's actually saying, hey, maybe we can fight this. But the second the Humanoid arrives, they realize they need to disengage. Then a good charm lands from Larssen to secure a return kill.
Trymbi getting the shutdown, obviously not ideal, but for Fnatic, they'll be happy that goal didn't go into comp. Upset knows, yeah, maybe I overstepped a little bit there. Just a little bit too eager to clean up Rogue.
15 seconds. This Dragon fight will almost decide the game, really, because if Rogue can win it and deny it, then they can buy more time to go towards Baron and start forcing that, depending on how many kills they can get. But if Fnatic get this Dragon, they're just going to run away with it. I think Rogue have to contest this. They have to find a fight. Maybe Odoamne can look for a flank. Malrang can look for a pick. Humanoid still has that Wild.
Decent assist going in. Hylissang there as well, and Larssen just doesn't get an opportunity to move. He is locked down and sent back to the fountain, and Fnatic will get their third Drake of the game.
Incredibly clean from Humanoid. We've really seen so few mistakes from this man today. He finds a solo kill, he's found the outplays, and once again he shuts down his lane counterpart in Larssen. He's looking to bring the score 19-19, and he's looking to shut down his rival once more.
I mean, this Sylas is going to be a very big problem for Rogue moving forwards in this series, something you need to think about. I mean, even both carries of Fnatic stepping up right now and showing up in this game one. Wunder might be in trouble here. Odoamne with the Black Cleaver with the side lane. There's the TP, though.
Odoamne is going to pop the World Ender to try and get away from this one. Can dash across the wall. Can't see the timer on that as he flashes. Humanoid, though, still looking for the chase here. Counter TP, but look at how deep that is. Larssen is so far away from the rest of the team. Final chapter up towards the top side of the fight. Meanwhile, down towards the bottom side, Odoamne facing off against two members of Fnatic. Humanoid and Wunder trying to stare him down, trying to take him down before help can arrive. Odo still survives, though. Malrang taking an upset. Humanoid diving in. We'll get him with the Kingslayer, but Fnatic have lost two. It's 2 for 2 on the top side, and now Rogue are trying to close in.
Can they find the kills? They're trying to base here, I think. They're going to get the recalls off. Can Larssen stop them?
Flash! Charm! Wide! Humanoid misses the abscond and ducked as well, but Humanoid dives onto Trymbi. That's one! He's looking to make it three. Can he make the outplay to win the game? That's two! Humanoid! You absolute monster!
Humanoid goes and does it! 1 versus 3. He shuts down Rogue. Fnatic will secure the ace, and they call him Humanoid for a reason.
Take a bow. He just almost saved the game there for Fnatic. There was so many picks happening. Rogue getting shutdowns. He tried to get his base off, but he knew the charm would cancel him. I can't wait to watch that replay again. Good presence of mind from Rogue. Larssen just ditching Odoamne, saying, I'll collapse with the rest of my team to shut down Upset. And Razork, Odoamne bought so much time. It looked like Rogue had found an avenue, the light at the end of the tunnel, a way back into this game. But Humanoid slams it shut, and now they're on the Baron.
Such a beautiful play from Humanoid, of course. Off screen in the little pit, you can see this little skirmish happening. We don't have time because the Baron has now begun. We're in another fight.
TP coming by Rogue as they look to try and turn this around. It's last hope, it's last vestige of any life for them in this game. You have to feel Wunder stepping forward, has the call of the Portugal as well. He gets the knock up his Comp. There's the tidal wave coming in as well, but Comp has to try and dash and dodge away, but he just can't do it. Hylissang takes it, closes the book on game one. And Fnatic, once again, just take Rogue to the cleaners.
It's going to be Baron. Rogue inevitably had to walk in. Comp no flash, and Wunder finds him with the knock-up. Fantastic engages from the top laner of Fnatic. Good follow-up by the mid-jungle AD carry as well. Humanoid now 10-1 on this Sylas. They're going to pick up the Baron, and they're going to siege down mid.
An unbelievable performance from Humanoid. He has been ramping up in playoffs, but a performance like this, Medic, you talked about it earlier, over the last 7 years, only 3 mid laners have stood atop Europe. Their names are Perks, Caps, and Humanoid. And this man is looking to do it once more. Larssen forced to disengage. Upset has his eyes on another kill. But Fnatic now with the Baron, 10k gold lead, are looking to secure game one in this best of 5.
Fnatic playing on 2 lanes right now. Odoamne down towards that bottom side, trying to get the wave pushed in, but he's not even going to be able to take the tower. Doesn't have the TP, so he's got to dash back and join his friends and try and defend the Nexus and the inhibitor towers.
Massive gold lead now for Fnatic there. Their best bet now that they got these towers is just a base.
11,000 is pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big, isn't it? So this must be, this is the Baron replay. So Wunder actually just tosses his Q out here and steps a bit too far forward, gets hit by the knock-up, and then the ult follows shortly afterwards. And Humanoid with the Vi ult has so much lockdown, even if he had Flash here, he was as good as dead. It's the solo laners of Fnatic just stepping up.
Just an easy fight for Fnatic. The turnaround is good, the engage is good, and Fnatic's team fighting throughout this game have been clean. It's a perfect example of how to play that typical front-to-back style. And Rogue, they have to be thinking about next game already, because being able to shut this Humanoid down, level 16 on the Sylas right now. 10, 1, and 3. 4 items fully completed. 10 stacks on his Dark Seal. There's a minute until the next dragon. Fnatic, they're going to take their time, and they're going to look to secure the soul.
And he has a Yuumi to work with as well, and Hylissang just picked up Mikhail's too, so any of this kind of CC from the charm and such is just going to get cleansed off as Humanoid just runs forward into the fray, into the fight with that damage from those items. They're going to go through mid right now, 50 seconds on that dragon. Rogue want to find a way through bot side, but Fnatic are just going to siege at the moment. Rogue, not that much wave clear.
Fnatic pushing in, Baron, as you say, still a minute remaining on it. That will be the inhibitor's tower in the mid lane going down. Comp maybe getting chased away here. You can see Wunder looking for it. Fishing for it, lands the knock-up onto Comp once again, and Comp's just down! Wunder just assassinates him with the help of Humanoid. Now Rogue running for the hills, but there's nowhere for them to go. Upset will chase them. Larssen, the last one standing, but he just can't do anything into the 5-man might of Fnatic.
That's going to be it, isn't it? They're pushing down mid, they're pushing down bot. 27-minute game. Upset's looking for the 1v1 onto Larssen's going to hop over the wall. Should be able to pick that one up as they continue the siege down mid. 30 seconds on Malrang, 20 seconds on Comp.
It's been a statement on the TP from Humanoid. He says, well, Larssen, you have one game over me, and I head-to-head. I'm making sure we're evening out the score here. Humanoid joins. Upset takes it before Humanoid can do anything about it. But Fnatic make a statement in game 1 as they absolutely dismantle and demolish Rogue.
Touch-ups of stats, of course, before they kill the Nexus, but Fnatic will close this one out just under 28 minutes. And the only time Rogue was really favored was that first flush to top. From that point onwards, it was Fnatic through mid when Rogue should have been the one there, and they ran away with going to bot, getting Upset ahead, and then Humanoid just clutching the entire game ready.
And there were a lot of little things that really stood out. The flash early from Razork, trading in for Larssen to set up Humanoid for that play. The engages that we saw from Wunder. Upset being able to find that double kill in the mid lane. A lot of little things that came together, all surrounded by Humanoid's phenomenal performance on the Sylas. What a masterclass mid laner performance we saw here. Humanoid looking to go to the finals tomorrow against G2.
Looking like a star right now, Humanoid, and now you have to ask yourself, as Rogue, we just first picked Lucian Nami away.
Yep, that didn't work.
We gave them Sylas.
Yep.
They're going to have to change the plan up a bit.
Yuumi.
They're going to have to give them something that they banned away that they're maybe not too happy giving, or just swap it up, give them the Lucian Nami, play something into it, put a Sylas ban into that.
Because that's the thing, the Lucian Nami is going to define the series because Upset was so good on it, alongside Hylissang when Fnatic been playing in the playoffs. And so you could see Rogue saying, maybe we can do the same thing. It really didn't work here. So now they have to work out how they're going to deal with Fnatic's Lucian and Nami in later games.
Whew, what a game 1. What a game 1. What
and the crowd. I took off my headset for a moment when they were doing the clappers. Absolutely absurd. I love it here. It's so good to be back here. Anyway, we're going to hand it over to Sjokz and the gang on the Analysts desk who are ready to break down that game.
Thank you very much, Medic. I think we will be talking about the bot lane picks, but I think we got to talk about the mid lane as well. That Sylas, I mean, that was incredible. That is the first game in front of 10,000s of people in what could be our last series in the playoffs so far. Broxah, that is stepping up to the occasion.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't even talk that much about the mid lane matchup before this, and then all of a sudden Humanoid just puts the entire team on his back and single-handedly destroys Rogue.
Crazy stuff, Rekkles. But it started in the draft, and we talked so much about where's it going to go specifically in terms of the bot lane priority. What did you make of Rogue's game plan?
So at first glance, I thought they had a pretty good idea with the Lucian Nami because it's something Fnatic has a lot of success with. And Fnatic also now didn't show that they had a specific counter to it. But then I think the way you play has to be a little bit more aggressive because in this case, you know you're getting outscaled. But your only real play in this entire early game was Vi ganking Ornn in the top lane, which does nothing for the game. So I think something more just has to happen.
But I also just think out of the first 3 picks you have here from Rogue, you would be super happy going into this game. You get the Lucian Nami, a little bit of a takeaway, but you know you have the early game to play through. The rotation that comes through is going to be the Yuumi paired up with the Zeri. And you have Vi into that. I think Fnatic had all their chances to just be like, you know what, we're going to play Sivir. Vi's going to be usually with a spell shield, but they didn't. And that created a point of attack for Rogue that we never saw happen.
So basically the picks might have been a good idea, but the approach in game wasn't necessarily there.
Yeah, so I think they just looked like Rogue always does, slow and methodical. And then I think a draft like this isn't really playing into your favor. Then I would much rather go for a scaling comp myself. So at least you feel like in the game, there's no stress or anything. Because in this case, I think the second Humanoid solo kills Larssen in the mid lane, everything falls apart and you're having this factor of we're getting outscaled. So I think removing that would be the first step to having a chance in this series. And
part of what was so huge about the solo kill was that it led to them getting Herald. Normally Fnatic, they never really prioritized Herald at all, but now they got it. They used Humanoid's lead to help out bot lane, which was a big part of why this Lucian Nami never got rolling and they just quickly got to snowball.
But also just coming through with a solo kill in the first game, and with Humanoid versus Larssen specifically, there's always been questions about this.
So should this happen like that in the Ahri Sylas matchup?
I mean, it can happen. It's why you see the Sylas be picked into the Ahri so many times. Should it have happened in this instance? I don't actually think so.
So I think there's, two important things here. One is that Humanoid has shown a lot of priority on Sylas in pressure situations. They were 0-2 down against XL, and he ended up picking Sylas 3 times in a row to come back in that series. He had the Cassie ult, the other series, I think it was the last series they played, and now he has this performance. So Sylas for Humanoid specifically, I think is something strong.
And this is just something we almost never see in a competitive game, right? You have that 1 versus 3 scenario. He literally has the montage play right here on the Sylas, and it becomes a question. Is it okay to even leave Sylas up when they show the priority they have on it too?
No.
I think at this point we know the answer. Like, you have to ban Sylas against Humanoid at this point, but then the question becomes, what do you give Fnatic at that point? Because they have so many tools, so many carries, and if you have to ban Sylas, all of a sudden that puts you in a really tricky situation in draft.
Yeah, we talked so much about the game plan for Rogue, Martin, coming into this. We talked so much about what are the strategies for bots, right? As we take another look at the outplay. In fact, now it feels like you've just got a conundrum that is almost impossible to solve for Rogue. But I heard from you more scaling. That's a start.
Yeah, so I think you start with more scaling because you have now played an early game composition and failed in doing so. So I think just maybe doing the Sivir Zeri trade then and seeing if you can go up against Fnatic in teamfights would be a place to start. But also I feel like then you have to perform better in the bot lane because now you had a Lucian Nami matchup into the Zeri Yuumi and you're actually losing that 2v2. So that's already a problem in itself.
And it just requires more facilitation. When you take a look at the way how they actually move their pieces around on the map, that bot lane is not getting a lot of resources, right? And I think even if you go in for the scaling aspects of the draft, you cannot play up towards that top side, even when you have an Aatrox, because I don't think it's going to work out. This is a meta that's very bot-centric. This is a meta that when you go to the late game, it's not going to matter who the top laner is, it's going to matter who the AD carry is and what position they're currently in the game state.
Personally, I would actually like to see Rogue changing it up a little bit here, because now we had a pretty standard bot lane draft. Obviously, they were very focused on the early game in particular, which didn't work out. But in my opinion, this is where you pull out something like the Caedrel locks and try to change it up to, you know, make sure that you're in the comfort zone and play something Fnatic hasn't practiced against. Because they could play a Sivir Zeri matchup. There's a chance it's going to work, but Fnatic just steamrolled them early game, and I'm not sure if they can actually survive.
It seems a little hopeless, unfortunately, but we gotta believe that maybe Rogue was along the line of thinking of, we're gonna try and attack it standard and see what we got here in this Fnatic that we haven't played yet in the playoffs. Broxah, you wanted to take a look at the second Rift Herald fight, which unfortunately Rogue didn't win, but you saw signs of improvement.
So I think the second Rift Herald fight was Rogue's best chance to come back into this game. We see it right here, Malrang dashing forward on Vi, and he just tunnel visions on the steal, because once he doesn't get the smite, well, look at Malrang, he's standing in front of the entire enemy team, is forced to ult the Ornn, and all of a sudden that Vi that can create such a good engage for Fnatic just went to complete waste and it fell apart.
Yeah, I think what's crazy about this is it actually goes a little bit in the favor of Rogue, but even then I think Fnatic could have played this fight specifically better. They get picked apart a little bit, they get isolated, and I think that still shows some weakness in the team fighting aspect that Rogue can look to exploit, but it's about finding the right time to do that as well.
And I know that we're looking at this and trying to look at, is the glass half full? Maybe. Have we seen signs of something that can change? Where do you land, Rekkles? Do you think it is a case of, let's first see what we got, go with relatively standard, okay, we have a more aggressive pick in the top lane, and then we see what we can work off from there? Or do you want to see a radical change? They have chosen blue.
I would like to see a radical change, I think. Just go full scaling and try to see if you can match them in a team fights. This was actually a team fight that could have been good. The one thing I did like here was that they felt like the game was getting out of hand, so they went for the 5v5 here. I think they should have committed harder the second Zeri missed ult, but at least the idea was there that we are getting outscaled, we need to fight now. So maybe in that sense, they have some sort of team fight idea today that they could use in their favor by picking more scale.
But my worry is as well, if that you go for that full scaling, let's just look towards these late game team fights, you're also playing into a win condition of Fnatic then, because they love playing around with the early game. If you have losing lanes that just plays to scale, but never have some impact in the early game leading into the mid game, you're going to be losing a lot of objectives, and specifically playing with Rift Hells now, if you lose the first two, you're going to be put in a deficit that's really hard to come back from.
Yeah, and Fnatic is really comfortable at pushing the objective and pushing the advantage when they have it. Broxah, when we look at it from their perspective, it's been a crazy ride so far, but they keep racking up those wins. And when I looked at those cameras, it was just another day in the office for them.
Yeah, I think that's something that was so great to see, because obviously from the outside, we get so excited watching these games, but you can't let yourself get over ego when you're a player. And like you said, you know, there wasn't any excitement. They were just taking it slow, continuing to be focused, and then, you know, just having the full focus on winning all 3 games.
Yeah, Martin, that looks like a team that is just poised to fight G2 tomorrow.
Yeah, especially I think when a draft like this, they are still playing aggressive in the early game. It looks so impressive when Razork goes for that level 3 mid gank. It didn't work out, but the idea is there. They get the early objectives. They are winning their 2v2 bot. It doesn't seem like it even matters if they have the tools in the draft or not. They just pull it off anyway.
You have, okay, I see your hand. What do you want to say?
Is this the best of 5 though? And as you said, it's looking like of a game 1 where we could send Fnatic immediately, but this is where I'm looking at Rogue and I'm saying, prove to us that whatever we always talk about is not true if you really want that to happen. You lost the first game in a best of 5, show us the adaptation that, you know, really means that you can come back from it.
Yeah, take that step forward for Rogue. We'll see if they can, because we have a full house. We want 5 games, Rogue. Let's see if they can bring it back after the break.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.